Good morning, my people. Good morning, my people. All right, there's always like a 1 second, 2 second delay. Gotta get it up on Instagram as well. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. We got a fantastic show coming up this morning for everybody. So thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here. Very, very active week or so around Los Angeles Lakers basketball. A lot of good shit to talk about. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you, but a lot of good stuff going on, a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of great storylines. I feel like a lot of Laker fans are incredibly interested in what's going on as well. Completely new era of Lakers basketball, and I'm happy to have a channel here on YouTube and have this type of an audience so that we can spend some time talking about it. So good morning to everybody. We got the tea steaming right here. We got some coffee going right here. There's a lot going on. I've told you guys this before. I kind of load up in the morning. Coffee first, followed by a tea. So good morning to everybody. All right, let's kind of get started here in a couple different ways. First off, let me just kind of give everybody the quote of the day first. I put up a video last night, by the way. So if you want a full breakdown of the new center for the Lakers, Mark Williams, just a heads up, I put it up probably about 10 hours ago or so. So that's there as well. So you can catch that on the channel. Preview video, Lakers Warriors, coming out probably around 2. We're going to wait till after the NBA trade deadline just because there's too much stuff going on. All right, quote of the day. Guys, this might be my favorite quote. I think I found my favorite quote. Oh, this one's deep. You guys ready? Gather the family around. If you're at work and there's coworkers, say, guys, Slee's quote is coming in. And then everybody kind of hold hands and sing Kumbaya together. It is the light in... Already screwed it up. It is the light in the lantern which shows... Screwed it up twice. There we go. We're going to get it down. Don't worry. This is only live. No big deal. It is the light in the lantern which shows you the path, not the lantern. It is the light in the lantern which shows you the path, not the lantern. What is that saying? My people, we got to look inside, not outside. Look on the inside. That's a badass quote. That's a really good quote. You know what's awesome, too, is when you're doing a live show and you screw it up 7 times before you actually get it right. All right, let me give everybody a quick rundown what we got for the show today. Very good show. Solid show coming up. Today's officially NBA trade deadline, which will end at noon. Yeah, today we're gonna go. I mean, I'm not gonna go crazy or anything like that. I think the Lakers already made their moves, but let me give everyone a quick idea. Last night, we're gonna talk a little bit more about this Lakers trade for Mark Williams. Incredible deadline for Rob Pelinka. And I'm not telling you that it's all roses, because there are some people that are looking at what the Lakers did. There's going to be some people that say, he's given up too much. Why are you giving up that much on an injury-prone center like Mark Williams? We'll talk about all that. I think there's angles to take here. But personally, for me, I think Rob Pelinka is just sending a message. He's not sending a message to me. He's not sending a message to you. He's not sending a message to all the other franchises out in the NBA. He's sending a message to his guys internally, specifically Luka Doncic, LeBron as well, but specifically Luka Doncic, and basically letting know, I'm not here to waste a season. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What are proper expectations this year? I don't know. Like if you sit here on Twitter, you think Lakers are, about to go win an NBA championship. I'm more realistic. But we'll talk a little bit about what some of the expectations are and kind of how that's changed here over the course of the last, what do you want to call it? 4 days or whatever the case is. Expectations probably went down when they got rid of Anthony Davis, but the expectations long-term certainly went up. But now with another trade in the books and seeing how good the Lakers have been playing, maybe that's a little bit different. Lakers got the Warriors tonight. Let's look at the next 5 games as well, which I think is interesting. Some real opportunity for the Lakers to do a little bit of damage. This interview I'm really, really looking forward to. Brad Townsend, who writes a sports columnist for the Dallas Morning Star, and has been covering the Dallas Mavericks. He was at the Lakers presser for Luka. He's the one that asked the question about what's your feelings on their front office. Did they ever tell you that, did you ever tell them that you're not going to get an extension? Those were really two huge quotes everybody ran with after that Luka presser. I'm going to bring him on. Mainly because I just want to ask him. He's been following Luka now for however long Luka's been in the NBA, since he was a rookie. And I really want to get a full understanding of what exactly Luka's going to be on a night in, night out basis. What better person to have that conversation with than with Brad Townsend? And then we'll do thoughts on the NBA trades, all these trades that have gone down. A lot of them. A lot of trades have gone down. Give the NBA, give them an award for keeping everybody interested during Super Bowl week in the NBA, because they have certainly dominated the headlines. A lot of players obviously moving, so we'll get into it all. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for spending your time here. And let's get the show started. The first thing I want to do, I kind of done this a few times now, and I like doing it this way, to be honest with you. I like just looking at a couple of the comments before the show starts, and then as we do that, we can take it from there. So let me do this. Got that there. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's get things started as we get the show started. Good morning to you. Steve Ross, Circle of Trust. And I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate that. Setting up for a Lakers-Celtics final. People are already thinking Lakers are in the final. Relax. Calm down here for a second, okay? Everybody calm down. Take a deep breath here. A lot of people upset that Dalton Connect is no longer a Los Angeles Laker. We'll talk about that too. That's fair to have that feeling. Good morning, Big Slee. Thank you very much. People throwing this. I got boxers from all across the world that are watching me, and they're like, okay, well, but let's focus in on his style. What is Slee doing style-wise? Yeah, probably not the case here. All right, a couple more here, and then we'll get the show started. By the way, John, thank you very much for being a brand new MVP member of the channel. For those who don't know, I did start memberships this week. I started it on Monday. If you want to be a member, it's $2.99 a month. You can be an MVP member. It's a phenomenal way to support the channel, support the show, support everything I'm doing here on my independent space. And if you want to be a part of that, I'll put a link here, and kind of actually makes it a lot easier for everybody. So there's a link there. If you want to be a member and you want to join, I will definitely put up exclusive content. At some point, you'll have special emojis, all that other stuff. But if you want to support the channel, being a member would be greatly appreciated. All right, so Lakers trade for Mark Williams. Let me kind of give everyone just a little bit of background here, and then we'll go. The background is this. It's kind of pretty simple in regards to what the trade details are. Lakers were desperate for a center. Desperate. Just absolutely desperate for a center. I don't care kind of how you look at this. When they traded Anthony Davis, we all kind of know what that meant. That meant that the Lakers don't have a big. They don't have size. Frankly, I don't really know how you could take the Lakers seriously if they didn't address going out there and getting some type of a big. You got to have a big. You need a couple 7-footers. They got now one in Jackson Hayes. They got one now in Mark Williams coming from the Hornets. And you just can't be a squad that's going to, sit back and try to drop 130 a game. I don't think that's a good game plan. And a question I asked Pelinka during the presser was, how do you balance long-term, short-term, deadlines coming up on Thursday? And he had said something, and maybe he was playing poker. Maybe what he thought was the genuine truth, but he said that the market for a big man right now, I can't wave this magic wand and we got a championship big man. So I kind of started assuming that, maybe the Lakers aren't going to be able to go get that big that they're looking for. And the names that we've been hearing, Jonas Valanciunas, it's like, okay, well, the market changed. Maybe you want Jonas Valanciunas when Anthony Davis is there. I'd argue against that. I mean, if you guys watched that Lakers-Wizards game, Jonas looked awful in that game, and that was without Anthony Davis, and just too slow. And is that really what Luka needs? Like, Luka and LeBron. Is that what they need? Is that the type of player that they need? The answer is no. Mark Williams kind of came out of nowhere. And for those who don't know all that much about him, here's in the last 12 hours, let me tell you all or less than that, probably 8 hours or so. Here's all the messaging that I've heard about Mark Williams. The messaging I've heard is this. He's got a lot of potential. Almost a 16-10 night a game. If you go see highlights on him, he's kind of the perfect player that they're hoping to play off of Luka. That is somebody that rolls to the basket, cleans up off the glass. You can throw lobs to left and right. Kind of perfect from that mold. I guess he does have a relationship, kind of a mentor relationship with J.J. Redick because of his time at Duke. And obviously J.J. Redick, a Duke alumni. So there are kind of those ties and those connections. Incredible upside. Somebody that can definitely potentially have a really important need for the Lakers in where they're sitting today. That's one side of the equation. The other side of the equation is health. Not exactly so far in his young career. Remember, it's his third year. Health has not been a part of Mark Williams. You have not looked at Mark Williams and said, hey, this guy's available every single night. So is there risk in this trade? There is. But I think it's calculated risk. Listen, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm in here and I'm trying to, support Pelinka and anything that he does. And I don't want to believe that the guy has done anything wrong or any of that stuff, whatever it is, right? But ultimately, I will say this. In any move that you make in the NBA, in any move that you make in sports, in any move that you make in business, there's always going to be a risk factor to it. And I think the question that Rob Pelinka's got to ask himself as he was making this trade last night, what's the risk reward? If you think Rob Pelinka traded for Mark Williams last night, technically 2 first-rounders, right? You traded away Dalton Connect. We'll get into him in just a second. You traded away a first-rounder, your 2031 first-rounder, a pick swap in 2030. If you think they traded just for Mark Williams and there's no other storylines around it, then I don't think you're looking at the big picture for Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka traded for Mark Williams because Luka wants a player like Mark Williams. Rob Pelinka traded for Mark Williams because Pelinka wants to have at least some kind of resemblance of a roster going into the rest of this season and into the playoffs. Pelinka traded for Mark Williams because he's saying in his mind, okay, I don't know what this team's going to be. That's going to be one of my topics here. I genuinely am not 100% sure what this team's going to look like, how they're going to jive. Nobody does. If anybody thinks they know what this team is, I think we're all kind of BSing each other. I think everyone has a curiosity of what this team is and where it could potentially go. But Pelinka is saying to himself, so what do you want me to do? Hold on to these picks and wait till the summer? I lose another year out of LeBron James. I got big decisions coming up. There's no guarantee and lock that that's it. Luka's done. He's going to be a Los Angeles Laker for the next 5 years, 8 years, or whatever the case is. I'm sure there's whether Luka's putting pressure on the Lakers front office or Rob Pelinka's just putting pressure on himself, which I think it's the latter. I think it's Pelinka saying to himself, no, I just went and traded for Luka. Let me start putting this roster around so I could at least make sure that in a couple months from now, I could see Luka and LeBron on the same floor together and getting a chance to get a playoff run in. What's that playoff run going to look like? I'm not sure. Okay, let's talk about what they gave up. I was listening to Bobby Marks. Bobby Marks, phenomenal for ESPN. Just listening to him right before he was putting up a podcast, and I'm like, all right, let me get his thoughts. He's really, really good at a lot of this stuff. Looks at he's really good at the contracts and the first apron, second apron, all that stuff. He said Lakers gave up a haul, and I've heard that now. I've heard that from people saying, all right, well, you just basically gave up 2 first-rounders for an injury-prone center who's 23 years old that certainly, could do a lot for the Lakers. But he's got to be available. He's got to be there. I think we all understand that. Is there risk? Yes. I said that before. I'll say it again. Yes, there's risk. Like that's In anything you do, there's definitely risk. But I also kind of think it's a no-brainer. The Lakers trade picks. That's what they do. I was looking back. Somebody had put this up on Twitter a couple days ago. And I didn't see it. I didn't really read the details, and I apologize if I know who it was. But it was something along the lines of, here's what the Lakers got with Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, and some of those picks. They ended up trading all that for Anthony Davis, winning an NBA championship. And then with Anthony Davis, they were able to trade that to get Luka Doncic at 25. So they're going to stop at the 2031 first-round pick. So they're going to stop at Dalton Connect. And I'm telling you, I'm a fan of Dalton Connect. And I want to have a conversation about him separately, so I don't want to do too much. But they're going to stop there. They just got Luka. Can Charlotte benefit from the position the Lakers are in? Sure. You guys remember this? 2 weeks ago, I said, if I'm a team in the NBA, I want to make a move with the Lakers because there's a little bit of, this was before they traded for Luka, but there was a little bit of desperation is not the right word. It's sense of urgency. Lakers, it always feels like have a sense of urgency. Did that change now with Luka? Sure, because now you could think more of a long-term vision, but there's still a sense of urgency. It's just different. The sense of urgency just has different clothing on, but there's always a sense of urgency with the Lakers. The sense of urgency now is I got to make sure Luka feels comfortable here. Luka's getting what he wants here. That Luka, when he gets on the basketball floor, says to himself, okay, kind of like what we're building here. Got Dorian Finney-Smith over there. That's one of my guys. LeBron, even at age 40, is still doing amazing, amazing things. He's obviously going to be an incredible asset for as long as LeBron wants to do it. They still have something to keep in mind here, which I think is important. Somebody else mentioned this, and I think it's very, very important to keep in mind. You traded Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, and a first-rounder. Okay. Cam Reddish was completely out of the rotation. The 2031 pick is not something clearly like I'm talking about right now. You're not stopping at the 2031 pick. We've been talking about getting rid of these picks, we've been talking about for over a year or so. Pelinka was the one in the summer that spent some time saying that, was it in the summer or before the summer? I think last trade deadline, he's like, I'm going to have 3 first-rounders to work with. Well, you know what Pelinka did with those 3 first-rounders? Drafted Dalton Connect, traded him. 2029 went to Luka, part of the Luka deal. 2031 went part of it went to this Mark Williams deal. So to kind of take me back, kind of looking at this deal and looking at the details. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I know Rob Pelinka is doing what he needs to do to make this team as competitive as possible with Luka and LeBron. He's doing his job. I put on the title here that Pelinka sends a message. Let me be clear what I mean by he sent a message. Not to me, not to you, not to any Laker fans. His message is to Luka. I'm not going to sit around and wait. I'm not going to sit around and waste time. Hopefully, Mark Williams is the type of player that they're looking for. I love that he's just 23 years old. I love that he's in his rookie contract right now. I love that next year he's still on the books for the Lakers. I love that when you look at this Lakers roster, you still got Rui, you still got Gabe, you still got Reeves, you still got Vando, you still got Dorian Finney-Smith. You still got a lot of depth and assets that you can still turn around. Another thing Bobby Marks mentioned. Bobby Marks said, hey, by the time they get to the summer, however the Lakers season ends, this is what they run with, and whatever it looks like, it looks like. By the time they get to the summer, okay, what can they do from there? Because they've given up all these picks. Well, here's where the summer becomes interesting if they don't make any other moves. By the way, they still have a second rounder that they can use, and then there's going to be a roster spot available in the buyout market. So one of the things Rob Pelinka loves doing, and he's been doing this for the last few years, he always has a roster spot available by the time you get to that trade deadline and by the time you get to that buyout market, because if there's a pretty good player that just got traded to a bad team that wants out of his current contract or wants to leave that team, then he's going to be available in the buyout market. And the Lakers could at least say, here's our presentation of why you should come here. And Lakers are going to get that opportunity. And by the way, there's a lot of players like that get in the buyout market that look at the Lakers and say, God, I can get great exposure. I'm trying to earn another contract next year. Let me use the Lakers by trying to be an asset to them. And there's going to be so many eyes on the Lakers. And that's not going to change here in these next couple of, in these next couple of weeks or so. So there could be some opportunities there as well. Overall, my thoughts on the trade is Pelinka did what he needed to do to give at least LeBron and Luka, give them some kind of an opportunity the rest of the year. Lakers are playing good ball. They've won 9 of their last 11 games. Oh, here's what I was saying about getting to the summer. In the summer, let's figure out the rest of the season, whatever it looks like, whatever happens. Let's say Lakers make the playoffs or out in the first round. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's just pretend whatever it is, it happens. After that, I think the thing to pay, most attention to is this is the assets that the Lakers would have after losing all those other assets that they had as far as draft pick capital. You'll have an expiring Rui Hachimura contract. You'll have an expiring Gabe Vincent contract. You'll have an Austin Reeves contract that still has incredible value there. The point I'm trying to make is that just because they lost their draft capital, it doesn't mean they lost their assets. So I'm excited where this thing is going. I think they did exactly what they needed to do. And I think Rob Pelinka right now is flexing his muscle around the league. And it also doesn't guarantee anything. They could be out in the first round. So like I'm not trying to tell you that that's it. This is the move the Lakers needed, and they're going to go make a finals run. I don't know what this team is. I just know I feel like Pelinka he's done his job. And then now he can just kind of hand the keys over to JJ Redick and say, do the best that you can. I put out a video yesterday about JJ Redick, and I was talking about how I've just been so impressed with what this guy has been able to do, up to this point. And he's going to have now a completely new roster to try to figure it out. I'm not telling you that's easy, but that's the situation he's in. That's the position that he's in. And it's going to be exciting to watch. So let me, I wrote this down here. Here's what Rob Pelinka's done since December 29th. And I'm not trying to convince Laker fans that you have to like this or not. If your opinion is, because I saw a lot of people, talking about how a lot of Laker fans too saying Lakers gave up too much. What are they doing? This guy's too injury prone. So, a lot of other people saying, I loved Max Christie. What are they doing? That was, you need these young pieces. I'm not trying to tell you you're right or you're wrong, because I don't know how this is going to pan out this year and in the future. But just listen to how active and how different everything is since December 29th for the Lakers. Here are the players that are no longer on this roster: Anthony Davis, Max Christie, D'Angelo Russell, Dalton Connect, Maxwell Lewis, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Cam Reddish, your 2029 first rounder, your 2031 first rounder. I probably missed a couple second rounders in the process as well. That's 9 players or draft picks that are off of this roster since December 29th. Here's who's in: Luka Doncic, Dorian Finney-Smith, Shake Milton, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris, Mark Williams now of the Charlotte Hornets, obviously a part of that deal as well. So just big time shakeup to this Lakers roster, this organization, the present, the future, and you got to be excited about it. You got to be excited about it because there's a little bit of the unknown right now. I don't know what happens moving forward. I don't know what kind of run the Lakers are going to be. I think one of my subjects, one of my titles here was about what are the expectations this season. Let me give you guys my expectations. I'll give you guys my expectations. First off, the squad's in the number 5 spot right now in the Western Conference. Very winnable games, next 5 games as well. I was looking at this. They got the Warriors tonight, who I'm assuming Warriors lost last night to. They kind of blew a lead late against the Utah Jazz. They just traded Andrew Wiggins. They just got Jimmy Butler. But a lot of these guys aren't going to be available tonight. Jimmy Butler's not playing tonight. I'm assuming so. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So you already got a team that's not playing all that well in the Warriors. You got a Lakers team that's rolling. They just made a trade, and they don't have their assets coming for tonight's game. Look at the next 5 games for the Lakers. They got the Warriors. Pacers on Saturday is a tough game. I like that game. Pacers, Saturday. Luka Doncic supposed to make his debut. It's an early tip-off, 1 o'clock. That's the only team that you're playing that's over 500 in this stretch. I guess Warriors are either 500 or they're maybe 1 game over. Warriors, Pacers. Then you're hosting the Utah Jazz, at the Utah Jazz, and then hosting the Charlotte Hornets. They're already 10 games over 500. We can be in a stretch here where the Lakers are 13 games over 500, something along those lines. My expectations this year, I'll tell you what my expectations are. I think they're going to use the rest of the regular season to kind of feel things out. What are the rosters that make sense? Who are the starters? Who are the guys closing out games? How are you using Luka, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James? Is Dorian Finney-Smith coming into the starting line? I think there's a lot of questions of what it's going to look like over the course of the next 30 days, maybe to 60 days, something like that. But my expectations coming into, for the rest of the year is they position themselves to be an incredible headache in the playoffs. That once you get in, if you're a team like, I'm just going to name off some teams that, preferably I'd like to avoid, and then some other teams that, you look at and say, okay, that could be an interesting matchup. If they got Houston in the first round, Houston's going to be like, after all this, we got to face the Lakers and Luka and LeBron in the first round. Memphis. Okay, well, that Denver matchup, whatever the Denver matchup has been for the last couple of years, it's not the same matchup. AD's not there. A lot of the teams behind them, I don't think Phoenix is going to get any better. I don't know how much better the Clippers are going to get, even though they're a solid team. Don't pay too close attention to just one loss that the Clippers had to the Lakers. So there's a lot to pay attention to right now. Expectations wise, just go into the playoffs. Go into the playoffs as a team that everybody's like, yeah, that could be an issue. Guys, they got Luka Doncic. They got the top 3 player in the league that's going to be a part of a playoff run for the Lakers. LeBron, love him, hate him, great this. The dude is balling at age 40. And I think Luke is only going to kind of help take his game to another level, because it's going to be just that much less stress on LeBron to go make it happen on a night in, night out basis. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait. And, like I mentioned, from that perspective, I think there's so many different ways to look at things right now. All right, let me give a couple quick shout outs here. John, thank you very much for being a new member. I greatly appreciate that. John Zaring, thank you very much for being a YouTube member. Look at Mr. Manners here. Gifted 1 Hoops Talk with Alan Sliwa membership. Mr. Manners, you're a good man. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much for being a member and contributing to the show as well. Wisteria Village has just become a new member. Guys, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you're a member, I really, really appreciate that. It's $2.99 a month, and I'll make sure it's a cup of coffee. I got to just make sure that I'm getting everybody a cup of coffee worth of content a month, and I'll make sure to do that. So thank you very much for doing that. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, I want to welcome in now our guest for this morning show. Got a chance a couple days ago to meet Brad for the first time. Brad Townsend, who has been covering the Dallas Mavericks for quite a while now for the Dallas Morning News. Brad, good morning, sir. Thank you very much for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Back at home after the whirlwind couple of days in LA. But, this whole Luka saga is just really starting. I mean, the city of Dallas is in mourning. I don't think that's hyperbole to say that.
Sure.
And so everybody is braced for the fact that Luka will probably make his debut on Saturday. And, just the sight of seeing him in a Lakers uniform playing with LeBron is, it's going to be a gut punch, but it's going to be maybe a decade full of gut punches.
Mm. Well, okay, so there's so many angles I want to take with you, and for those, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, Brad, during the Luka presser with Rob, and you had flew out from Dallas to, obviously cover this big time news. I can only imagine what's going on in Dallas right now, even the whole state of Texas, who, whatever their allegiances are, I'm sure they got a lot of love for Luka. Your question was about the front office. Your question was about, hey, was there any indication that you might not be signing that max extension? And, obviously everybody took those quotes and Luka made it pretty well known how he felt about the situation and the front office. I want to get your thoughts on a couple things here. And I really, really, from my own personal interest, I have so much interest from a Mavs perspective, but I'm gonna wait on that for a quick second, and I'm gonna come back to that. Okay. How I want to start this is, for a lot of Laker fans that are on this channel, there's a lot of dialogue of everyone's excited to see Luka. Everyone hears, hey, top 3 player in the league. Mm-hmm. Everyone sees the, kind of the dagger shots that he's had in the playoffs. But a lot of us also have not watched Luka 82 games a year. Mm-hmm. Can you as best describe what exactly are the Lakers getting from a 25-year-old Luka Doncic, and also kind of keeping in mind how the Mavs traded him and his feeling towards that organization and maybe feeling slighted and everything else? What do you think the Lakers are getting based on what you've seen in the past? And what do you think the Lakers are getting based on the circumstances of what's happened?
Well, the phrase that was coined early in Luka's career here, starting 7 years ago, it was Luka magic. And we in Dallas, and certainly I think most NBA fans have seen highlights, but here in Dallas, we obviously have seen him on a regular basis. It's just the seemingly improbable magic that he creates during games and at the end of games. And it's really kind of hard to summarize other than say it has been magical. He does have this ability to rise to the moment. And it's pretty amazing to be, it's surreal, frankly, to be sitting here, 4 years into the Jason Kidd, Nico Harrison tenure. Mavericks had a trip to the NBA finals and a trip to the conference finals, and Luka was a huge part of that. So it really is hard to summarize. I mean, last year I was in Atlanta for a 73-point game. I was in the bubble when he hit the big shot against the Clippers. That was surreal because there was nobody in that smaller arena.
Sure.
Other than, the Clippers players just reacting like, are you kidding me? And a Clippers employee slamming a water bottle down and the Mavericks bench erupting. And you can only imagine how that would have been in a real playoff. It was a real
packed arena.
In a packed arena. And so that just showed that he had the ability to deliver regardless of circumstance. And so and in the city of Dallas, there's just been a lot of pride that the Mavericks had Dirk Nowitzki for 21 years.
Sure.
Dirk's last season, they bring in Luka, and it was just it was a seamless handoff. And I think Mavericks fans, I don't think anybody would expect that he would be here 21 years, but we kind of saw him as Dirk 2.0 to carry that on and someone to build the franchise around, going forward. And so that's the shocking element of this. the you know, if you're going to quibble with a guy who has the third best average in scoring average in NBA history, you'd say he does not play great defense. You'd say that, well, could he have been in better condition? Is he maybe more susceptible to the soft tissue injuries because he's not in optimal condition? But, frankly, those are just quibbles in my mind. I mean, the guy still produced. He played a heavy minutes load. I think he wore down when he got to the NBA Finals last year. But just from a sheer productivity standpoint, and frankly, he was putting forth more effort on defense last year. Maybe there was a backslide in that from that standpoint this year, but I don't really know that we can say that for sure because he'd only played in 22 of 49 possible games.
Can I tell you something funny? Every time I hear this stuff about defense, like I love how they're making it sound like Nikola Jokic is the defensive player of the year,
Right.
and that Steve Nash was known for his defensive prowess, and
Right.
that Magic Johnson was a combination of Gary Payton and named the best big out there that can play D.
Well,
I think it's
certainly Dirk was not known for his defense.
I think it's so funny that like and maybe this is just an angle that you're looking for,
Right.
but isn't that part of the league? The league are you're going to have certain players that have certain strengths and
Right.
you play to those strengths. Okay, maybe Luka wasn't what was it? Your guy who I saw right before Lakers and the Clippers game. I saw Dorian Finney-Smith coming out of his way to give you some love. I'm sure you got, a great relationship with him over the years, but he was saying yesterday he's like if he's dropping numbers like that, maybe I should weigh 270 pounds.
Right.
But I just think it's so funny. Like all of a sudden, the league just became something where you could be somebody that's averaging a triple double, and if you're not a lockdown defender, then maybe you're just not worth it. Like it's just it's comical to me. But Brad, I want to ask you this because I think Luka's personality probably better than most outsiders just because you're around him, the team, the game, and everything else.
Mhm.
How personal do you think he's taken this and how can that be a benefit to his career personally? What I mean by that is maybe he's looking at life so much different than he was before Saturday night because
Mhm.
he's saying, I thought I was God. I thought I was, I'm untouchable. This, and I'm not even saying it from an ego perspective. I'm just saying, look what he's accomplished by the time of 25.
Mhm.
How personal do you think he takes this? And how can that be beneficial to Luka's career, you think, moving forward, the near future and future down the road?
Oh, there's no question in my mind he's taking this in a deeply personal way. What struck me the other day in that 27-minute news conference was how rarely he smiled. And the Luka that I saw was still shell-shocked from the trade. The Luka I saw showed, kind of glimpses. His answers were measured, but there was definitely anger behind those. It was implied anger. Luka, just for Lakers fans, Luka post-game interviews has never been like the life of the party. He's never been maybe particularly comfortable in front of a camera. But that Luka that I saw the other day was not anywhere close to the Luka that we've seen for nearly 7 years. I've never seen him that solemn other than, after a big loss. And so the way I read this, I think there's probably been two times in his 25-year life where he's been like knocked across the head, where like he's gotten like a wake-up call. I think the first happened in the NBA Finals last year. He, led. There's no reason to believe the Mavericks should have been in the NBA Finals, but he and Kyrie Irving led them there. And he gets to the finals and he made the, he fouled out of the game 3 here in Dallas that, Dallas probably should have won. It was an ill-advised foul, obviously, in those circumstances, might have cost him the game. And he got really severely criticized on a national level for that. I think that was kind of the first time that he'd been like whacked in the knee,
Hmm.
and this trade is that. That's this, except 5 times worse, maybe 10 times worse. This, if whether it was deserved or not, this is going to be a huge wake up call for him. He has made a career of taking minor slights and finding seemingly minor ways to get himself ramped up, on a game by game basis. But this will be a collective. This, no doubt in my mind, will be something that lights a huge fire underneath him, especially when the Lakers play the Mavs.
Hmm. Well, and doesn't it seem like the greats always find extra motivation, and they will try to find angles? He doesn't have to look too hard as far as what that extra motivation is. Okay, let's it's interesting because I can look at this from multiple perspectives, and I've been covering the Lakers for a while. Grew up a Laker fan, so seeing it from a Laker perspective, it's pretty easy of, wow, they just got this gift that fell right on their doorstep, and they got potentially, and I'm sure there's a lot of NBA fans that are like, Lakers again, how did they do this? And this time around, I'm like, don't look at the Lakers at this one. The Mavs initiated all of this.
Mhm.
But can you kind of, as we sit here and we've got almost 5 days into the trade, it was kind of one of the most shocking things in the history of sports. Everyone was trying to kind of put the pieces together. Is it as simple to say that front office and that ownership for Dallas, do you think they really genuinely understood the repercussions of what they were doing? Like, as they sit here today,
Mhm.
are there a group of people saying, what the F did we just do? Or do you think they knew that the reaction was going to be the reaction that it was?
Well, there's no question that they knew that there would be backlash. My colleague Mike Curtis and I talked to Nico Harrison shortly after midnight, the night of the trade, and that's not something that Nico normally does. And so, especially since the trade, the condition of talking to us and giving us the reasons behind the trade, and it was supposed to remain on background until the trade call was actually going to be going through. So he didn't want any comments until like the trade was official, but they understood they needed to explain this. Having said all, and he explained it, I thought reasonably thoroughly, if you're going to give a rationale behind all this. But I don't think they expected this level of backlash. I don't. Now, I mean, it looks like there's going to be a protest outside the game, outside American Airlines Center on Saturday. There's already fans have been calling in. I don't know. I'm not sure how many. The Mavericks have kind of downplayed this, but some fans have canceled their season tickets, and the Mavs have, offered refunds to those. Now, I don't know. I was told it hasn't been many fans, but if any fans are doing that, then that's a problem for the organization. Sure. They're talking about a 20-year run here where they've had sellouts for every home game other than during the pandemic. So this could very well hit the Mavericks pretty hard in the pocketbook. I don't think anybody could be quite ready for the backlash that's occurred and maybe is just now starting. Now, will some of that go away when Anthony Davis, on the same day that Luka will debut, he'll make his home debut for the Mavs? Anthony Davis goes for 30 points and 15 rebounds. Is that going to soften some of this stuff?
Which is probably going to happen. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Will some of this soften over time if the Mavericks end up being better than the Lakers? Yeah, possibly. But I think it's always going to come back to Luka is 25. We will never know how the next 10 years would have unfolded here in Dallas. And it's the Luka magic aspect that we talked about earlier. that the fact that his mere presence gave you kind of an excitement level that anything was possible. And so now, Luka Magic has been lost, and we'll never know what Luka Magic in Dallas would have been over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I mean, I look at, for them not to have a pulse of what the hell this was going to be. And maybe they did. They just, they didn't care, or they thought, it's going to be fine because, we got AD and this is what this roster is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if they just don't get the right matchup in the first round? They're out in the first round,
mm-hmm.
and Lakers and, Luka and LeBron get the right matchup, and there they are in the second round.
Right.
I'm just like, what you said, and I'm not even talking about a championship run. I'm not even talking about that.
Right.
I'm just talking about literally just, look, the West I'm not telling you the West is great. There's a lot of headaches in the West. And there's also really, it doesn't feel like any teams out there that, you feel like, hey, that's a lock to come out. It's not like Dallas made the trade and it's like, oh my gosh, everything runs through the Mavs. No, still good teams in the West.
Yeah.
Obviously some very, very elite teams in the Eastern Conference as well. It's kind of more from an outsider perspective on this. I'm curious on Lakers traded for Mark Williams last night and get a 7-foot center out of Charlotte. That type of player, style of player, is that the type of guy that's a good fit for Luka? I think as Rob Pelinka now tries to figure out the rest of this roster, I'm just curious to get your thoughts from getting a chance to watch Luka for as long as you did. What do you make of what he's working with? And it is completely different because you got one of the greatest to ever play it, who's still at an elite level in LeBron. What do you make of kind of how this roster looks with Luka?
Well, Mark Williams has put up some eye-opening numbers this year, but I've got to say I have probably watched the guy play a handful of times. I don't watch a lot of Charlotte games.
You don't? Interesting.
Shockingly enough, I know.
I thought you caught everyone.
But his numbers have jumped out to me. You always have to be careful when a guy on a mediocre team is putting up big numbers. Those obviously don't extrapolate when he goes to a new situation and he's no longer, he, instead of being maybe number 2 or number 3 in the pecking order, he's probably like number 6 or something. And so I don't know how that dynamic, but certainly he's shown the ability. I don't know about him as a rim protector. That is their biggest need. I honestly can't answer that question about that. If he can provide some rim protection, yeah. Is he a good pick and roll? Is he a good vertical guy on pick and roll? Is he a lob threat? Because that is Luka's bread and butter, is having that lob threat to where Luka's coming off the pick and roll and, he's either going to like pull up or he's going to make some unbelievable pass to the roller. He had a couple of those guys here. Did the Lakers have that guy? I don't know. I have not analyzed the Lakers roster probably close enough to answer your question, but I'm just telling you that that's what Luka has had here. That's what he's thrived on. And so that's what the Lakers need to recreate. And maybe Mark Williams is a big step in that direction.
What do you make of LeBron and Luka playing together? And I'm not even saying, can it work? Two greats will find a way to make it work together, but just the idea of those two playing together.
Well, it's must see TV. It's anytime the Lakers are on, I'm going to be watching it. Just the sight of those guys on the court, just the gravity that each one of them by himself draws to him. Doncic, there were a lot of hopes here in Dallas when the Mavericks acquired Kristaps Porzingis a few years ago.
Yeah.
There was a lot of hope that would create Dallas's big 2 stars. But for whatever reason, those guys never meshed personally, or I wouldn't say that they were adversarial, but they were not nearly as everybody assumed they were going to be. And part of that was Kristaps didn't play, missed a lot of games. He was on injury management. But Luka has shown, whether you want to give him more of the credit or Kyrie Irving more of the credit, Luka has shown that he can play alongside a co-star and make it work. And so there's no reason to believe that won't work in LA. It will be intriguing because they're both, he and LeBron both thrive at their most when they both have the ball in their hands. And so obviously they can't both have the ball at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be fascinating to watch. But if you're a defender, double teaming LeBron or double teaming Luka, yeah, good luck with that, because those guys at their size at 6'8" and 240, 250 pounds, and the ability to see over defenses and make great passes, man, you've got a lot of trouble. Double team at your own risk. So, and I will say this for Lakers fans, Luka this season, and really it started last season, but more so this season, he worked a lot on his catch and shoot, because he realized that, or the Mavericks realized that him pounding the ball and having the ball for 18 seconds out of the shot clock was just wearing him down, and it wasn't really a productive way for the Mavericks to play. Other players didn't feel like, they were involved offensively. And so he has become a pretty good catch and shoot guy. And so he's really going to, that's really needs to show through now, because clearly LeBron will still be, in my mind, the guy with the ball. And so it'll be interesting to see how much Luka defers to him and how much LeBron defers to Luka, because LeBron's co-star in LA has been Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis is not a guy that,
he gets set up,
give him as many touches as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a guy who's creating and needs the ball, for 10 or 12 seconds out of the shot clock.
Well, I think what you said about just LeBron and Luka together, no matter what, it will be must watch, must see TV. And I think there's such a curiosity. I was saying this before you came on. I have no idea what this team is going to be the rest of this year. I don't. I don't have anything to work off of. I know Luka's amazing. I know LeBron is amazing, but it's going to be important how the rest of the roster looks. Do they have a rim protector? Can they play some defense? Who's grabbing the rebounds? How much can Dorian Finney-Smith and Vando and some of these other guys jump in? So that part will be fascinating. I got just two more questions for you, and I greatly appreciate your time. And maybe if we're fortunate enough, we get Lakers Mavs in the first round or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But what do you think kind of happens here with Nico Harrison? Is he on what? I guess the question is he on a clock? Is there pressure? What happens now? Like what is his next few years with the Dallas Mavericks look like? Because I've told this to other people, and I feel like, again, I don't have the pulse in Dallas like you would, but I feel like for the Mavs, this wasn't just about, hey, we want to win a championship. Mm-hmm. It felt like we want to win a championship with Luka, with our guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious of what happens to Nico Harrison here over these next few years. Maybe they don't win a championship, and getting to the finals is clearly not good enough because Luka already did that for you. What do you think his future is?
Well, the fascinating thing about all this is that before this trade, Nico Harrison has been gold.
Sure.
Nico Harrison's reputation in Dallas, I mean, he's been viewed as a savior.
Sure.
Virtually everything that he has done has turned to gold.
Took the risk on Kyrie.
Last
PJ
year's trade deadline got PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. Team wins 16 of 18 games. Barges all the way to the NBA Finals. I mean, those are pretty darn good calculated risk, and they gave up capital. They were criticized at this time last year, trade deadline. He was widely criticized around the league for giving up too much for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. And they went to the NBA Finals. And so, but obviously that criticism is nowhere near what's happening now. I will say that that Nico has the firm backing of Patrick Dumont, the owner, the Mavs governor, and so he did this was not just Nico's decision, but Patrick Dumont signed off on it, and so for Patrick Dumont to sign off on that, he's also declaring his faith
responsibility.
But also faith in Nico. But the results will obviously dictate on whether that faith was warranted. Up until now, it has been. So I think I think the track record should help Nico, but obviously it's a results-oriented league, and we'll see from here. But I mean, if you look at it, and even Nico in his first press conference after the trade said that. He said, forget about being looked at in a 10-year window. He's like, we're looking at this in 1, 2, 3, 4 years. That's the window that we're looking at. And he said, and then he kind of semi-joked and said 10 years. He said, me and Jay Kidd will probably be buried by then. And then he added, if we don't bury ourselves. So, and of course, the comeback around here since he made that comment was they've already started digging. So, Nico's a very confident guy. He's a very smart guy. This was definitely calculated carefully by he and Patrick Dumont signed off on it. But, we'll see. I mean, this is obviously the deal that he's always going to be, judged by.
Last one, and we'll let you go from here. All these conspiracies of the Mavs, is this a ploy to eventually move the Mavs to Vegas? Is there any conversation in Dallas or any worry or concern?
Okay. Zero. It will never, it just won't happen. The NBA wouldn't allow that. The Mavericks have big plans to build a new arena here.
Sure. Great market.
Part of Patrick Dumont's, the reason the Adelson Dumont family wanted in Dallas was for the real estate potential. People are saying, well, it's all about the casino. No, they'll build a new arena with or without a casino. And to leave the 4th or 5th largest media market in the country to take a team to the 40th or whatever Las Vegas is, it makes zero sense. And not only that, you look at it, and yes, there will be a team in Las Vegas at some point. The big rumor has always been that LeBron will be the face of that franchise, ownership-wise. But if the NBA owners allowed the Mavs to leave for Las Vegas, they would be. People are saying that the franchise expansion fee could be like up to $6 billion. NBA owners are not going to allow a team in the 4th or 5th biggest market in the country to leave for the 40th biggest, and that $6 billion expansion fee is not something they're gonna let just like go away either. So,
well, I appreciate the explanation, because I not that I'm sitting here and I'm sitting on the internet every day say, oh, that's it, this is going to happen. It's true. But, obviously
it's surprising that the legs that seems to have gained. And I think, people are looking for, like, how could they have made
angles
this trade?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you could kind of leap from that to thinking, oh, well, they don't care about their future in Dallas. They're going to leave. But any logical way of looking at this will tell you that it's not going to happen. They will not be moving to Las Vegas.
Well, Brad, great stuff, brother. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate the time. Love the insight. And, I'll be honest. And I feel for Mavs fans. Like, you could tell that it's such a heartbreaking loss to them. And then here's the Lakers franchise that just got somebody, one of the best in the world, and probably is going to be one of the best of the world for years to come, just kind of knocked on the door, and it's like, I'm here. And it's crazy to see it all unfold. Obviously it's a big get for the Lakers, but let's see what happens in Dallas. We'll see if, I think, like you mentioned, Nico Harrison has made some trades in the past that have panned out. So we'll see if this blockbuster pans out for him as well. But I appreciate the time, and thank you for the insight.
Appreciate you having me.
All right. That is Brad Townsend right there. Great stuff. Yeah, I was trying to track him down here for these last couple of days. I really wanted a Mavs perspective. I don't know what else you guys want me to tell you. The whole thing is fascinating. I thought what he was saying, too, about you're going to get this version of Luka. I sometimes I kind of hype myself up too much with things. I don't think I'm being dramatic or hyping myself up too much here. There's another version of Luka that's coming. If you thought his version that he already was as a killer, as one of the best players in the league, I think there's a whole new I think there's a version of Luka that he doesn't even know that he has, that's sitting inside of him, that's ready to come out. That obviously is going to come out as a Los Angeles Lakers. So I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to be crazy to watch. I think the excitement level, and it's not just all about this year. It's about, obviously for years to come. So it's going to be phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay. I got so many comments here that are going on during the chat. I'm going to spend probably the next half hour or so just looking at your comments and just kind of getting your guys' feedback and everything else there. So we're going to do that. Before I do so, I want to welcome in, this is a brand new partnership that started this week with the Wallace firm. It's somebody that I personally know, Brad Wallace. I can't thank him enough for wanting to support this channel, wanted to support my endeavors here on YouTube. It's funny, Brad Wallace, who's an injury attorney, and I hope you never need him. I hope you never got to reach out to him. I hope nobody ever sends me an email and says, hey, Al, I know you got somebody that you know very well, but a family member of mine, or maybe you were involved in a serious injury. Can you please make a connection with him? And I will do that, and I'm happy to do it. But I just hope that never happens. But I want to tell you my personal relationship with him real quick. I was at 710 ESPN. Everybody knows I was there for a number of years. And that guy targeted me when I was on the radio. He's like, I want a relationship with that guy. I want him to do my reads, do my ads, all that stuff. I've known Brad for about 5 years. When I left 710 ESPN, one of my first conversations was with him because he is a personal friend. And I'll never forget. He's like, congratulations. I'm like, congratulations. He's like, listen, you're on your own independent endeavor. You're going to go do big things. You're going to start your own business. You're going to go make it happen. And here he is now supporting me on YouTube. He could potentially obviously help you. If you are someone you know is in a serious injury, you should reach out to Brad Wallace. Let him walk you or your family through your legal options. I'm sure it's very intimidating. It's a daunting process. Let the experts help you. And that's exactly what he is. If you're in the state of California, he can help you. Again, if you need an introduction, I'm here to make it. You can also go to our special URL that we have that's just for this page, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Get a free consultation. And again, if you ever need me to help connect, I can help connect as well. Shout out to the Wallace firm for being a part of this and being a partner of this channel. All right, I am ready now to holler at my people and get as many comments as I possibly can in here. Let's get this thing started. All right, let's read right here. I'm so excited for this squad. Rob made some moves. Pelinka's made it very interesting. I'll tell you that much. There's risk. It's a completely different team, but you got to feel good about, what you got coming up in the present and in the future. Mark Williams is a part of what were we saying this time yesterday? Got to go get a big. Got to go get a big. Got to figure it out. All the names that we've been talking about, Miles Turner, Walker Kessler. By the way, a lot of people are saying, hey, go look at Walker Kessler's game and go look at Mark Williams. They'll take Mark Williams over Walker Kessler. So we'll obviously see what happens here, but kind of came out of nowhere too. This is not a name that you've been listening to. Jonas Valanciunas ends up with the Kings. All right, it is what it is. All good. Miles Turner, I think I've been saying for a while, I don't think he's going to go anywhere because the Pacers are competitive. We'll see here. A couple hours left. I haven't even looked. There might have been blockbuster trades that went down, and I was so busy having the interview and listening to myself talk, maybe I didn't even see it. But all those names, Nick Claxton name, Steven Adams name came up yesterday. They end up with a center in Mark Williams, and now you kind of got a little bit of a roster that you can work with. I'm telling you guys, pay attention to the buyout market. There's a reason why Pelinka yesterday traded 2 for 1. Why he used Dalton Connect and Cam Reddish. That Cam Reddish piece is an important piece because there could very easily be an impact player that's available in the next week or so, and the Lakers are trying to target in the buyout market and have a roster spot available. So, Uncanny Suit 97. I love that you're excited about it. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about it as well. Let's get some more here. Hey, Slee. Excuse me, guys. How are you? I'm good. Thank you. Janos Zabo here. He's got Reeves on his photo there. What do you think about instead of signing someone off the buyout, just convert Coloco or Quincy to start to standard contracts? Great show. Thank you, buddy. I think they could get more in the buyout market. I do. And I know there's something about two-way players. I know they can only play a specific amount of games. I know there's restrictions and all of that. And maybe these are ways to, kind of go over those hurdles if there are restrictions. I'm taking my chances in the buyout market. You guys remember this? I'm going to just think over the last couple of years. Some guys Lakers have gotten in the buyout market. I'm not telling you they balled out once they came to the Lakers. Andre Drummond, Spencer Dinwiddie. There have been some guys that have came in, and they could be impact players. I'm going to take my chance in the buyout market. Thank you very much for the super. Kevin Brown on here. Excuse me there. This is Westbrook all over again. Overpaid by double for a guy because your star wants him. Lakers tax is real, but this is an absurd trade. Oh, I don't mind this, Kevin. Listen, I've said this to you guys before. If you disagree with me or you have a different take, tell me. This is good for the show. I want different perspectives. I don't want everybody to say, great, 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 great. Like, it's good to have this. Kevin, nothing is like the Russell Westbrook trade. Nothing is. You're grabbing a 23-year-old who does have tremendous upside. Did you give up some draft capital? Yes. Unless you're telling me that you think Dalton Connect. Let's talk Connect here for a quick second. What can Dalton Connect mean to the league? Did the Lakers give up too early on Dalton Connect? Yeah, they did. They gave up too early on Dalton Connect. Maybe he can be a baller. Here's going to be the biggest problem for Dalton Connect. He's going to one of the worst franchises in the NBA. If you told me Dalton Connect just got traded to Miami, I'd be like, okay, that's interesting for Connect. If you told me he went to Boston, if you told me he went to Cleveland, I'm just kind of thinking of franchises that I feel like, are developing their players and are doing a good job. He's going to Charlotte. So that's the worst part for Dalton Connect. He's going to an awful franchise. He's going to an awful franchise that I don't think anybody's going to have all that much hope for that franchise. But Connect's a baller. I'll give that guy all the credit in the world. But to make a comp of Mark Williams and Russell Westbrook, that is beyond extreme. And I think a lot of people thought, and I don't want to use this angle, but I think a lot of people thought, should the Lakers have given up more for Luka? Is that safe to say? Let me ask you this question. Let's say the Lakers gave up for Luka Doncic. They gave up Anthony Davis, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, and both first rounders. Would people say they should not have made that deal? Because I still think with that package, Lakers should have traded for Luka. Okay? So they used a couple assets that they had remaining that strategically Pelinka didn't use, and he went and got himself a big. I don't have a problem with this trade at all. The only problem I would have is if Mark Williams isn't healthy enough, if he's not available, if he has issues and he can't be on the floor. But the position that the Lakers are in right now, very aggressive at the trade deadline, trying to prove to Luka, and it's so much different trying to prove to Luka than Luka's 25. 25. Luka, what do you need? I need a guy. I need a great player that can roll to the basket, that can catch lobs, that can clean up under the glass. I need somebody like I had in Dallas that I ended up taking to the NBA Finals. We're going to go get that for you. Don't you have to do that? And we're not talking just, you're not making a trade because Bradley Beal wants it. Talking about Luka at 25. Kevin, I appreciate the comment. So disagreeing, no problem at all. I really appreciate the comment. Alex here. Williams is going to feast off of Luka. Probably. Pelinka's feasting too right now. Thank you for the super, brother. Wisteria, new member. Thank you. Victor, new member. Thank you. Astrohead, new member. Thank you. Eli, appreciate it very much. Stormwalker 4 is a new member. Laker in Hawaii is a new member. It's $2.99 a month if you want to support this channel. It's a phenomenal way to support the channel. And I think you guys should know me and trust me enough. If you're a member, I'm going to make sure that you're getting your money's worth and that you see value in this channel content-wise. So if you'd like to become a member, you can become a member. I greatly appreciate it. I'll put a link here too because it's just much easier. Let's see, is that here? Yeah, I'll put it there. By the way, no pressure. If you can do it and you want to do it, genuinely want to do it, do it. If that's not something of interest, that's completely okay as well. But eventually I will have exclusive content for members, take you guys a lot more behind the scenes and do things that's just unique, right? Just something a little bit different for everybody else. So appreciate the love here. All right, let's get and the link is there too if you want to see it there. All right, let's get some comments in here. Whether they're not supers, not, it doesn't matter. We're gonna keep going. You could always tell Connect was low IQ and dumb, but gave full effort. I don't agree with that. I got no hate on Dalton Connect. I really don't. I mean, the guy's a rookie, guys. I mean, give the man a second in the league. I think here's what Dalton Connect can do. Here's what Connect can do. A couple things Connect can do. He's a sniper from the outside. Don't get me wrong. The guy went through a 1.5, 2-month stretch where I was watching Connect shoot. I'd always listen to Stu Lance. He's like, he's not shooting. He's guiding. He's trying to guide the ball in. He's not trying to shoot the ball in. You know what that is? That means that's a shooter that is in his own head. That means that's a shooter that's, obviously that's somebody out there that is just mentally – they have got into their own head, and that's the last thing that you want to do. I remember asking a question to JJ Redick about when he was in the middle of his struggle. It's like, kind of, what do you tell Connect? And I know from especially JJ's perspective, this is somebody that, obviously was a shooter, went through the ups, the downs, or whatever the case is. So I think Connect can do two things. He can shoot in a league today that it's all about shooting. And by the way, you know what's a very underrated part of his game? The guy can play off the dribble. So Connect's going to be a good player. I got nothing but love for Dalton Connect. I don't think it's a low IQ. I think the guy is just, he gets into the league. He's in the Lakers spotlight. You're playing with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and you're trying to figure out how you can be productive on a team that obviously needs you. All right, let's get some more comments in here. Let's see. And anyone expecting Maxey to be traded should forget about it. Maxey is Luka's +1. They are connected, and Maxey ain't going anywhere. You know what it's funny. So a couple days ago at the presser, I know you guys probably all saw the clips of this, but a couple days at the presser, or a couple days ago at the presser, Luka and Pelinka did theirs. And then they just had that kind of everyone kind of pulled off, and it was the media with a backdrop that did one with Markieff and another one that did it with Maxi Kleber. Okay. So that was the one where I told everybody that I cut off Markieff in the middle. By the way, I saw Markieff Morris at the Lakers-Clippers game. And when Markieff was here before, I wasn't necessarily in the locker room, and it was more predominantly during COVID, whatever the case. When they won the championship, I was like, Markieff, bro, my bad, man. He's like, what happened? I'm like, I cut you off. You were in the middle of a really good quote talking about Luka, and I cut you off. He just smiled. He's like, "You're fine, man. You're fine." I'm like, "Yeah, but I still cut you off." Anyway, so what I was saying is, so someone on Maxi Kleba, when I'm seeing Kleba talking there, and I kind of came a little bit late to when he started. And I asked McMenamin after, I'm like, Dave, hey, what did he say about the timetable? When is he coming back? And he said in 8 weeks, he's going to be reevaluated. And I'm like, shit. I actually think Kleba would do really well on this Lakers roster. If you told me right now, Maxi Kleba was healthy, just speaking out of my you-know-what, and you told me that here are the Lakers bigs right now. You got Jackson Hayes that's going to come off the bench. We kind of know what he does. You added Mark Williams, and he has a specific role for the Lakers as well. Obviously, he's going to be that as best as he can, that guy that rolls to the basket, cleans up after the glass, hopefully becomes a little bit more of a rim protector with that size. The Lakers are certainly teaching him how to be more effective from that perspective. And Maxi Kleba, right? Like a nice stretch 5 that you can use, maybe sometimes playing the 4 if you're looking for a little bit more size. I like Maxi Kleba, but I just don't think he's going to be available. Because if he's getting reevaluated in 8 weeks, all right, what is it right now? That's 2 months. So we're April 6th. Being reevaluated doesn't mean you're going to play. And he's got a real injury. Being reevaluated in 8 weeks means April 6th is when he's getting reevaluated. When's the last game of the Lakers season? Let me look at this. Actually, now that I'm doing the math, maybe I'm feeling a little bit better. Last game of the Lakers regular season. He's getting reevaluated in 8 weeks. The Lakers season ends in 9 weeks. 9 weeks from today, the Lakers season ends. So I think there's a little bit of, is there potentially a way that he could find his way back on the floor by the time the Lakers season ends? That I just don't think they could depend on that. So that's the best way that I could answer it. I just don't think they could depend on that. All right, here we go. You're tripping, Sliwa. You're tripping. Okay? You're tripping. That's my comeback. Just if you say something to me, I'll just say the same thing back. Let's see what we got here. April 9th is against the Mavs in Dallas. Hey, I mean this when I say it. And I know some Laker fans don't give a flying you-know-what, which is fine. I get it. You don't have to. I feel for Mavs fans. I really do. That's really, truly genuine. The guy that I had on, Brad Townsend, him and I were chatting the day of the presser, and then that night, Lakers and the Clippers. And I just, I want a Mavs perspective so bad because I'm just like, what the hell happened? What are you talking about? Yeah, that game in Dallas, you know what's going to happen? They're going to give freaking Luka a standing O, and then Luka's going to drop 50 on them and point into one of the suites where Nico Harrison is. Say, that one's for you. All right, let's see what else we have here. Let's see. Mavs fans are traumatized. They are. They definitely are. Mavs still have a 3-year title window. You know what's funny about that? This is the pulse that I've gotten. I listen to some other Mavs podcasts out. It helps me when I do the show too. Like I want their perspective. I want their perspective. So then that will kind of help me with some of my perspective. I can give a little bit more insight on it. And I was listening to a couple Mavs fans that were, they do their pods, YouTube, whatever the case is. I should probably get one of those guys on at one point, maybe before Lakers play Mavs in February, later in February. But I'm listening to one of the pods, and the way they explained it, it's like, it's not about winning a championship. It's about winning a championship with Luka. And I know people can sit back and say, yeah, you can't be greedy here. If you can get a chip, get a chip. I'll give you guys my example, right? My baseball team, right? That's the San Diego Padres. From San Diego, born and raised. That's my squad. I don't give a flying F how they win a World Series. Just win a World Series. I don't give a shit. Just win a World Series. I don't care how the hell you do it, right? I think for Mavs fans, it was like, well, no. Their model was trying to be like Dirk. Their model was, okay, here's Dirk Nowitzki. He got a champion. He was with one franchise. He's got a statue out there. I think for them, I genuinely mean this. I think if you said you can have 2 championships without Luka over the next 12 years or 1 championship with Luka, I swear to God, I think they're signing up for one with Luka. That's their guy. That's the guy they drafted. So that's just kind of the pulse that I got. Laker fans, it's different. Laker fans, they don't give a flying. They're just looking at 17 is not enough. We need 18. Yeah, well, Boston's got 18. Boston could have 19 by the time this year is done. So I think there's a little bit of how they get it too, if that makes sense. That's fair or not fair, but I think there's a little bit off that. All right, let's get a couple more in here. Need to get under the cap. Lift. Buyout restrictions. How? Let Rob Pelinka figure that out. I don't know. It is kind of interesting. I will say this, kind of the perspective of Pelinka, where I think in the past it's been very, what is he doing? The guy's too patient. How come, he's not, clearly the Lakers are in win now mode, all this stuff. Now Pelinka's like, I don't give a flying F. I'm riding this momentum. I'm sure a lot of Laker fans, when they see Rob Pelinka at a Laker game walking by, their perception of Rob Pelinka is going to be different, as it should be. So how they get what they need in the buyout, let him figure it out. But that's why the Cam Reddish, it's probably annoying that I'm mentioning this as often as I do. Pay attention to that Cam Reddish being in that deal, because you just never know who can become available that can actually be an important piece for the Lakers. Maybe it's another big. Maybe it's another wing. Maybe it's a backup point guard. I don't know who it's going to be, but there can be somebody out there who's got good playoff experience, that's been in the league for a long time. So pay attention to that. AR Luka already iffy on D. Dalton lineup gets killed. They'll figure it out. Here's can I tell you guys kind of a little bit of the beauty of the rest of this season? You're also going to get kind of a good idea of what works and what doesn't work. Let me give you guys just an example. One example. I don't think this is going to happen, but I'll give you an example. Let's say Austin Reeves and Luka just doesn't work because, like Armin is mentioning here, they're getting cooked on the defensive side. Like you just can't play those two together, right? I'm speaking out of my you-know-what. All right, well, now you have that information that you need going into the offseason to say, love Reeves, but you know what? This isn't going to work. What can we get value from him, right? Let's say, hypothetically, it works great. And there are times where it's like defenses are like, we don't know how to stop LeBron. It's LeBron in there with Luka and AR, and then you got 2 defenders, one of those guys being a big man, and maybe another guy, it's Vando or Dorian Finney-Smith. Maybe it works great. I think there's going to be a little bit of trial and error here between now and the rest of the season anyways to kind of see what works and what doesn't. What else did I promote on this damn show today? Thank you for the super, by the way, Armin. I appreciate you. All right, thoughts on on a couple of the other NBA trades. I'm going to go. This is how late I am. I swear on my life, if trades went down and you guys didn't tell me, not cool. I mean, trade deadline's coming up here in a few hours, so we'll see if anything else happens. Let me open up Twitter, just have that there, see if anything went down. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, Shams had posted some. What Shams post? Milwaukee is trading Patrick Baldwin Jr. and cash to San Antonio. Okay. All right. The other one, Toronto Raptors are trading Davion Mitchell to the Miami Heat for PJ Tucker. I'm trading Davion Mitchell to the Heat for PJ Tucker. Okay. Holmgren looks like is coming back on Friday for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay. Let me just kind of give some quick thoughts here and then we'll get back to answering some of your guys' questions, or just reading some of your comments. Man, what a week in the NBA. What a freaking week. Think about since Saturday, it's so crazy what's got lost in all this. You got the trade that went down, Luka to the Lakers. Just freaking shook everybody. All right. People that have never talked basketball to me. Yesterday, I had to go down here in San Diego, and unfortunately, a family member had passed away. Older, but just good man, good family, everything else. And so I'm interacting with a lot of people yesterday because of the service and everything else. I have people coming to left and right. I'm like, we've never talked NBA before. I had an uncle that I haven't talked to in a long time. He's like, I listen to the show and this and that. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, can I just get a cup of coffee? It shook everything, and it shook everybody. And all of a sudden, people that had no interest in Lakers or basketball, or maybe lost interest in the NBA, they're back in because of Luka. You got that goes on Saturday. De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs on Sunday was like the Raptors and the Hornets trading swapping second rounders. That's how little of news that was. You know how big of news that was that De'Aaron Fox ended up with the San Antonio Spurs? Yesterday, Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors gets paid too for a couple of years. I don't know what that's going to be, but I think the Warriors are better today than they were 24 hours ago. And the Warriors always seem to kind of make things work. I actually think Jimmy Butler will do well there. Brandon Ingram goes to the Toronto Raptors. I don't know what the long-term plan is for the Toronto Raptors, but I like B.I. and Scotty Barnes. I like this kind of trying to just acquire young, athletic. RJ Barrett is there as well. Wings, and we'll figure it out. And, their president of basketball operations has done it before. And I'm not telling you they're going to go win a championship, but they'll figure it out. I like the move. Jonas Valanciunas goes to Sacramento. Kyle Kuzma goes to the Bucks. Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings. It's just the NBA it's fun, man. And, this time of the year, free agency is always fun. These games this gets so much more love than the actual games. And again, I'm not here to tell you which trades are the right ones or they're not. I'm just saying, look at the action. Did anyone else care about the Super Bowl? We're all going to care on Sunday, but leading up to it, I forgot about the Super Bowl. LA just needs to hit open threes that Luka gives them. If they can, a chip appearance is going to happen real soon. Well, I'll tell you this. You know why the Lakers beat Boston? Why they beat the Knicks? Why they beat the Clippers? And this is not going to happen every game. I mean, for all I know, Lakers are going to shoot 18% tonight from three against the Golden State Warriors. But they were hitting their threes. They shot 43% against Boston. I want to say 48% against the Knicks, 45% against the Clippers. If you got Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Dorian Finney-Smith, even Vando, I think, hit a three. If you got these guys hitting threes, that's a tough guard. That's definitely a tough guard. Let's see what else we got here, my people. Let's see what else we have here. Let's see. Mavs fans act like they don't have a squad. Mavs can make it to the West. Mavs got a squad. No question about it. Let me play out a scenario here for you real quick. Okay? All right. And then I have a hit to do at 9:40. So I'm basically going to go right to about that time. And then I'll have to leave everybody. And if something else goes down, then we'll figure it out. I am driving back to LA a little bit later, and obviously Lakers, Warriors, I'll be there for that game tonight. Let me tell Angela, let me tell you something. Let me play out a scenario for you. Mavs do have a squad. You're right. Let's say the Mavs ball out in the Western Conference, killing it. Get to the playoffs. AD is dominant. Kyrie is doing his thing. They're bigs, PJ Washington, some of these other guys. Max Christie's a great addition for them. Say they make it to the NBA Finals. They got Boston again, and they lose in 6 games. And then they never get back to the NBA Finals because of just circumstance, age, West gets better, all that stuff. They have already traded a 25-year-old superstar who already got them to the NBA Finals. That's the problem. The problem is now you have zero margin for error. You basically have to win a championship, and even if you do, I still think Mavs fans would be like, well, why the hell did we trade Luka? He was only 25. If you said Mavs are going to win a championship or not in the next 3 years, I'd say they're not. Good team. I don't think they're the best team. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're just putting the squad together right now. That's the problem. They have a squad, but they had a squad with Luka. I got anything here on Instagram? Let's see what else we got here. All right, here's what we got on Instagram. LeBron as the screener, as the screen and roll man, is going to be unstoppable. Yeah, here's the beauty with both Luka and Bron. They can dish out 15 dimes each. Not going to do that both in the same game, but as in they'll read whatever the defense is doing and they'll slice and dice you. All right, here's another one here on Instagram. To be honest, never heard of Mark Williams prior to the trade. By the way, I don't blame you. It's Charlotte. I don't think everyone's kind of going in here and breaking down Mark Williams. Mark Williams getting a lot more love since yesterday. Connect had a few good games. Plus, we don't need offense. We needed a big. All right. Thank you, Instagram. Appreciate your contributions to the show there. Sometimes I don't pay enough attention on the Instagram front. Let's get a couple more in here, and then we're done. I love it. People are saying here they didn't know who Mark Williams is. Again, who's watching Charlotte Hornets every night? By the way, the problem with also a lot of people not knowing him is they didn't know he was available. I mean, think of the love Walker Kessler got over the. Walker Kessler sounded like he was Hakeem Olajuwon over the last month. Everybody talking about him. If people knew Mark Williams was available and a lot of people were talking about him like they were talking about another youngster in Walker Kessler, I think same age, both 23, then I think people would have a much better understanding of what his game is and what he brings to the table. But that wasn't the case. Okay. The Lakers now have an elite, young, athletic, 7-foot center in Mark Williams, along with 2 elite 6'8" defensive wings in Jared Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith. They can put with Luka and Reeves. Did you forget Bron? Bron's on the team too. Just a heads up. Heads up, Bron's on the team too. You know whose name I've been hearing a lot of lately from Laker fans? 2 names I've been hearing a lot of, which tells you guys kind of a lot about the impact these guys can potentially have. Been hearing a lot of Dorian Finney-Smith's name lately and a lot of Jared Vanderbilt's name lately. So all that time that we were talking about when Vandal's come back, when's Vandal coming back, he certainly is already making his impact. Vando, I would wait until after the All-Star break. He doesn't even look like he's in shape yet. He's only going to get better. The guy's kind of like slowly working his way back. I'm sure he's on a minutes restriction, the whole thing. All right, I think we're good, my people. I think that's a good day at the office this morning because there's more than just this morning. I got to highlight a couple other people here. Jap, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. We got a new member here in Satro. Satro, thank you for becoming an MVP member on the channel. Thank you. Really appreciate you doing that. Judge 105, another new member. Victor, thank you for becoming a member, buddy. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for doing so. You can do so $2.99 a month. It's a great way to support the channel. You're basically buying me a cup of coffee a month. That's what you're buying me, a cup of coffee a month. So happy to be a member and help Slee. Been watching for a long time. Pelinka did, yes, with the NBA. Astro, I appreciate it. Let me tell you guys something real quick. And I think I've mentioned this a couple different times. I can't tell you guys how much I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing. Kind of the beauty of what I'm doing. I could do it from anywhere. Really, just kind of the ability to kind of whatever my vision is, I could try to create on this channel. Decisions. I got a couple people that are helping out with the channel. It actually kind of feels pretty cool to be writing checks for other people, helping them out in whatever they're doing or helping their growth. So it's kind of a whole different world for me. I've never owned my own business or been an entrepreneur, I guess you can call it, in this field. So um, as much as somebody who's a member or supporting the channel that you think you're helping me, I appreciate that. But this is also just great fuel for me individually to just kind of have my own growth and learning process as well. All right, a couple more here. Need to get under cap. All right, that's BT. BT, just in Pelinka. Just let Pelinka figure all that stuff. Judge 05, I mentioned, is a new member. AR Luka already iffy on D. We got that one already. Skip my super, check it. Let me see here. Did I go back and get that one? Where's your super? I didn't skip it. What do you think I am? Think I'm skipping here? Sleaze, you skipped my 2 of my supers. I just read it. Yeah, it was this one. No, I got you, brother. I got you. Poor guy had to keep putting in supers just for me to get to his super. My apologies there. Okay, my people, I got to get out of here. Thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you to our guests a little bit earlier, Brad Townsend, who covers the Mavs and gave us kind of that perspective and what Luka could potentially be. I'll be back on tonight after the Lakers take on the Golden State Warriors. Preview video from Sammy Long coming a little bit later. We kind of want to wait till the trade deadline ends before we put that out, and then we'll get you ready for the game. Be around tonight. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys after the Lakers take on the Golden State Warriors. Thank you, everybody. Have a good